Magic boomers love pre-modern.
Next on Eternal Durdles.
Stop, I need more stuff. Can't you see I need more stuff? That's how we go.
Big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. If you want to support the channel, you can go to patreon.com/eternaldurdles. In return, you'll get ad-free content and a bonus episode every single week. Thanks for watching. Hello and welcome to Eternal Durdles. I'm your host, Zac Clark. With me this week, special guest, Michael Arnold, of the pre-modern community. Michael, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, long time coming, actually. We've known each other peripherally through Facebook pre-modern communities and stuff like that for several years. I like to have a pre-modern episode every now and again, and you're one of the real mascots of the format, I would say.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
You're known as
on March.
Yeah, you're known as like a pretty prolific brewer. You come up with a lot of different decks, and you do a lot of organizing.
I try to do my best. I've been around a while now. I still kind of feel like I'm the new kid on the block at times, but I'm coming up on 5 years playing the webcam monthlies next month.
Wow.
It's great. So, I've been able to be fortunate enough to be a part of a lot of different events, do some cool stuff.
Eternal Durdles is proud to be sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is the best deck building website on the internet. You can find all of my and Phil's decks in links below, including decks from this episode. And if you do, you'll be directly supporting the channel. Yeah. Well, so, this episode is about, specifically about, why Magic boomers end up flocking to these community-run formats. And I have a few reasons, but one of the ones I wanted to start off with first. I guess let me get your take on this. Why do you think these formats become so popular to people who've been in the game for a while?
Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on about this, but kind of sum it up. We hate change. That's one of the big things.
I've got rotation. Right there.
That's the rotation. I'm a huge baseball fan. I don't know about you or any of our other viewers, but if you do follow baseball, there've been a
Philly
lot of
shirt
rule
right
changes.
now.
Yep, awesome. Some of my a lot of good players who play for the Phillies that I love. But anyway, so there've been a lot of changes, to the America's pastime over the past couple of years, and I mean, it's gotten people very angry about, riled up about certain things. And, a similar thing happens kind of in Magic. You see these big changes and it makes you just kind of pine for the good old days and some other things. And just kind of the world we live in is very fast paced and addicted to change for change's sake a lot of times. And there's
infinite growth.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of good things to be able to enjoy just from, taking the game at its basics. And you can kind of change things up a little bit here and there to keep things fresh without having to overhaul the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that to touch on the rotation and the change point is that I'm a player. I love playing Legacy. I don't mind a medium amount of change to happen to Legacy. It's a format that is supposed to be rotation proof. That's not always the case. But one of the things I love about pre-modern specifically is you can walk away from pre-modern for 6 months and come back and your deck's probably still very relevant, and there's certainly no more cards to buy. You can build a new deck and be like, I need these staples or what have you, but you're never in a situation where someone's cracked the code and you're like, oh man, I can't believe that's so much more expensive now,
Absolutely. There's definitely been some things which have gone up in price, specifically like the original printings, but it's still it doesn't really compare to the mythic rares from the last say set or anything like that. Like Call the Herd is up to $10 now for an Odyssey printing, but you can still get the time shifted one for 50 cents. Something pretty cheap. But getting on your point of that your deck is still going to be relevant, months down the line. And I think when people kind of talk about that certain decks are unplayable now or something like that, I think that's a little bit overblown. Maybe you want to put them on the shelf for a little bit because some type of hate, kind of you can flash damage, from somewhere else. But kind of a case in point when last spring when the Green Red Terra Oath deck kind of came was really into taking form there and running away with lots of tournaments. I started scratching my head like, what would be good against this and still like really powerful? And I figured that, Terra Oath would have a really bad time against turn 1 Vistara the Dreadful or a Chroma and Angel of Wrath. And so I took Reanimator into the Spring Fling. I went 6-2, beat Green Red Oath when I faced it. And still a pretty good showing for a deck which a lot of people just written off like this is just, bad against, X, Y, and Z. But if you wait a little bit, the time might be right that you can dust it off the shelf, and that's kind of perfect for pre-modern, dust things off the shelf once in a while, just kind of take them for a spin, just for the experience of it, if nothing else, than simply trying to spike a tournament. There's a lot of variety that you can get from it.
Well, one of the things you mentioned was original printings, and I think that's another point for these formats for boomers is like, you can get that original printing, and let me qualify. Magic boomers are anybody that's been playing for a good amount of time. Like I'm 44. I'm not a boomer per se, but I consider myself a Magic boomer. I've been playing since Ice Age, right? But like choosing a style, right? Like choosing Flores is really good with that. Like his burn deck from the LobsterCon was all the like ugliest printings of cards. Like that's a vibe you can go for. You can be like, I'm just gonna go all white border.
He could have tried a little harder. As someone who has a similar deck, he could have tried
Shots
a little
fired.
harder.
Yeah. But like, you can do that thing where you're like, okay, I want to do like all new border or all old border, or I want to do, it's one of the beautiful things about the format is like being able to have that really generous reprint policy where it's like whatever reprints, it's all about the game. It's all about playing the game.
Yeah.
Come here, enjoy yourself. I like to play old school, but we can be a bit stingy when it comes to reprints. There's some old school leagues that I play in where they're like 4th edition. What are you doing? And it's like, oh, come on, guys. Like,
it's nice to have like a little bit of flexibility, right there. I often compare, pre-modern is, versus old school. Old school is like, going to an antique card show, something like that, where, like the performance, of your car, it's not as most important as just kind of like, just that sweet nostalgia right there. And
you might have to push it onto the lot to show everybody your old like Studebaker.
The history is there. That's the most important thing you're there for is kind of that history. And pre-modern is a lot more like your local Porsche club or something like that. Where you have a very like a functional car which you can take out onto the track. Every once in a while. So there's certainly like that blend that we've got going on here in pre-modern. There's of course always Pearlman, Jared Satowski, who brings out his deck with all these Asian languages, and of course there's others who go fully foil, everything like that. For me, I'm not that I don't have like too much of a particular vibe. I do prefer things black border when I can get them, but I prefer them like light play or better. I don't like to play with beat up cards. That's really like the extent of my.
I want to eventually get an all gold border deck going. Sadly, I don't think they've printed Stasis in gold border, so it's gonna be tough.
You can make it happen. I have a guy.
This is true.
Because that is another thing which I've finished. I have a lot of like little projects which I've done for pre-modern, so I do have a fully gold bordered mud deck.
Nice.
Because a lot of those sweet artifacts from Sphere of Resistance, Tangle Wire, all those made it into a world championship deck at some point. except for like Smokestack was one of the big ones which is not there. Tormod's Crypt wasn't there. Ensnaring Bridge somehow.
Tormod's Crypt is in gold?
Tormod's Crypt is not in gold. I mean, there weren't like any graveyard decks.
It does. Yeah, you can find it in the 94. The Pro Tour 95 decks. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I did not find them. And I looked. I had them altered. I had mine altered so I could have gold bordered ones. But particularly like the big ones were Smokestack and then Ensnaring Bridge.
I guess maybe
So I
no
have
one
those
cared
all
about
sorts.
sideboard graveyard cards in the sideboard during that era. That's probably what it was.
They were all about fighting Necro and
Yeah.
White Weenie and Stasis. So
Necro doesn't put anything in the graveyard. So,
yep.
yeah, it
There
makes
weren't
sense. It makes
reanimator
sense.
decks really in the format. So
Yeah. So one of the other big points I wanted to bring up is the community, because that's really the selling point. Is the community of people that are out there to have a good time, because it's not necessarily all about like having this like big like tentpole like pro tour style tournament. It's really about just getting together on like a weekend, and like everybody traveling to a space and just like having a good time.
mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I encourage anyone like who's getting into pre-modern, like I especially think like the people who are just kind of jumping in, they want to make sure that they have a good deck and that they can be competitive. No one wants to kind of like get in and lose all their games. So it's really natural to see people kind of go on the spikier side when they first come into a format. But also like if you're gonna get deep into pre-modern, have some times where you just kind of let loose. And just kick back and enjoy your time. You can definitely mix it up. I'm not saying by any means don't spike. And if you have like a really good idea that you think is going to be competitive and double down and optimize for 75, I mean, go for it. I've definitely done that, with some decks. But mix it up every once in a while, and sometimes you're like Flint Estill taking his fluctuator into the top 4 when he didn't even mean to.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this was you. We played in a webcam league one time, and you beat me with Painlands.
With Painlands?
I want to say this was you. You put a treacherous link on one of my creatures, and then a pariah on it, and Painland me into oblivion.
All right, that was not me. That sounds like something Aaron Dix.
Aaron Dix, yeah, it was Aaron Dix then.
Aaron Dix.
Yeah, that was Aaron. Okay, fair enough. But that's the style of deck I'm talking about, like where you just like do something completely weird, like, and then you're beating me with your own Painlands. Like that's the style of like community I'm talking about, where like some people are known for like putting just super weird decks and coming up with stuff. You've got Phil Wynn who does the MTG banding. He's always got something fun to say about the format. But everyone's kind of, you've got all these cool niches in the format that you can pull out and basically like it's just a super fun way to just hang out with people, on top of the fact that like you're getting to play Magic.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things like that old school does really well, is that just like kind of encourage that kind of like crazy, and I like just being able to generate stories that you can talk about with your friends and everything. Because like when I played at LobsterCon this last year, I did pre-modern first day, and then old school. Jared Doucette lent me his deck, and in the first round, I got 3 kills with a Singer Vampire. And
nice.
He's like, so it's an unlimited Singer Vampire, and on it he's got these red marks for like the blood tokens. Every time it's drawn blood, and he only had like 1 or 2 marks on it at first. I got 3 in one game in the first round. So
I don't think I've ever put a +1 counter onto a Singer Vampire and not just like it always just either wins the game or doesn't.
yeah, I know it. I had pretty much lethal, coming in, and so he had to block with a Hypnotic Spectre. He top decked another Hypnotic Spectre, and then another Hypnotic Spectre, and so that's how it actually ended up unfolding there. Yeah. I could have fireballed it at any time.
Yeah. You gotta put the counters on it if you can. Yeah, that's one of those things. It's like everyone gets the value out of a Sarah Angel. Not everyone gets the value out of a Singer Vampire.
Yeah. So it's just a lot of fun. Just having those crazy stories. That type of thing. That's really an important part of like I think building and establishing the community. Being able to do these crazy things that you're going to remember for years and years.
Hey, Legacy fans! Since you're enjoying the show, please like and subscribe to the video. It helps the channel grow.
Support Eternal Durdles on Patreon so we can create even more content and cover events.
Patreons get an ad-free RSS feed, 4 bonus episodes a month, and Discord recognition. Join the Durdle Maniacs at patreon.com/Eternal Durdles.
Now back to the show.
Yeah, going in. So for me, you're not going to LobsterCon this year.
I'm not, sadly. Big
it's a
trip
bummer.
from California.
Yeah, it's quite a drive. But one of the things that when I go, so last year we went, it was Phil and I, we went and we did the thing. This year I was like, you know what, I want to make this like I have a group of buddies that like I'll bring my battle box to like our yearly hangout, and I was like, how about we all just go to LobsterCon this year and like we'll do the battle box, we'll get an Airbnb, we'll have a good time, we'll jam out, but then we have like a tournament to go to, because normally it's like, oh, we'll go to SEG Con together or something like that. But this is like, this is so much different than that, because you already know that you're going to have a great time as far as the event is concerned, but then if you bring a bunch of people that are already like-minded to like have that good time, it's just like one of the perfect style of events. Anything like the spring fling as well, is like all those events are like the perfect time to bring friends together and hang out in like is basically a casual environment. I never walk away from like, I didn't, I think I went 2 and 5. I never walk away salty. Like when you do a big Magic event, there's always that one guy in the car that went 0 and 3 and then scrubbed out of 3 side events, and he's just like, just brings everyone's vibe down. If you're playing at LobsterCon, if you're playing at any of those pre-modern events, it's like, I got beat by this other deck, and there's like, people are less upset when there's not a whole lot on the line, but you're just out there to have fun,
Yeah, and I mean, if you are like invested in the community like at all, there's definitely going to be someone that who's making a run for it. So even if you're a little bit bummed out that you didn't have the greatest day as far as performance-wise, there's someone else that you can cheer on, try to just keep that positive energy flowing. There's a lot of great reasons still to be there. So. I lost my first round, so I didn't have a very. I went hot for a little while, but I didn't have much of a hope for topping out. I did make 16th,
nice.
which I'm very very happy for. But it was a lot of good stuff. Throughout the day, seeing people that I'd only known through usernames and play mats. That type of thing.
Of course.
Play mats
specifically.
A lot better than your face. That type of thing, and just had a great time. Nick Mayo, made a great run for it, and we were both on elves, playing that day, and we both ended up like in that 6 and 2. So it was, a good spot to be in, and just overall great time, great experience.
Yeah, I mean, I lost almost every. I lucked out and won 2 rounds, but man, I made a lot of people nervous. Some people had never seen. I was playing Cadaverous Bloom, so some people had never seen Cadaverous Bloom happen before. So they were like, "Okay, what is natural balance?" And then I'm like, "Okay, so I'm going to sack all my lands." They're like, "What is happening right now?"
Yeah, it's a wild one.
But that's that's the thing about that tournament series, though, is like you can win without actually winning. You can have like a great time. Walk away. What's the prize for LobsterCon? Like probably $500 in prizes.
Yeah, not even that. Like you're not making a winning here, no matter you're not plus money any way that you slice it.
Everyone walks away a technical monetary loser if they've traveled to Boston to get to it. I would say shots fired at Boston. If you've entered Boston, you're already losing. There was a great, I think I've told the story before on the cast, but there was a great moment. Mario, the guy that runs the Dante Alighieri library that they held this at, I got in a little early. I wanted to get my camera set up and get ready for stuff. And he was like, "I'm sorry, we're not ready for people yet." And I was like, "Hey, one, giant fan of the comedy. Just like that was like a big thing in my early adulthood, was like learning the Divine Comedy and like going through that. And I was like, we got to talk later, but I need to know where a good coffee shop is." Little Italian guy, Mario, he's like, "Oh, I got this for you." And he goes outside. He's like, "All right, what you're gonna do? You're gonna go down this street here, take a left on that street right there." He points to me. He's like, "Greatest coffee spot in town, Dunkin'
Nice.
Donuts." I was like, "Oh, you're not Italian. You're a Bostonian."
Yeah.
That was
a letdown.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna give me like the best coffee spot ever," but just pointing me to a Dunkin' Donuts. But yeah, and so there's pre-modern, of course. There's old school. Old school. I don't know if you checked out. Like this was right at the beginning of 2020, so it didn't really have the liftoff it should have. But when scryings was a thing for old school, which is where I have a lot of my like random weird pre-modern cards from, because I was like, oh, I'll just buy I'll buy 4 of every card as scrying comes out, so that I have those options.
Frickin' Dreadnoughts might be good someday, you know.
No, sadly, I don't think that there were any Dreadnoughts and scryings, or they were too damn expensive by the time they put them out. I only have one that I bought for like a Rug Delver deck because I was playing Stifle, and I was like, oh, I'll get somebody in one of these times with that.
Oh, man, I was certain that it was in there because Dreadnought Illusionary Mask was one of the combos that I heard of. Yeah, I haven't played any scryings. I don't have much of an old school collection or anything like that. When I play old school, I play with my 4th edition and Fallen Empires cards.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Mine was I played Stasis, of course. But I added Chronotog because, like, sure, why not? Why wouldn't you add Chronotog? And then I also splashed. This was something I had never tried before, but I splashed red for Blood Moons. And sometimes Stasis and Blood Moon is the same card. You know, like you just stop people from being able to play the game, you win. But what I want to do is now you know, kind of that we focused on, you know, why people flock to pre-modern. I wanted to ask you, as someone who's kind of unbiased in this and won't be giving away his deck, what would you be playing at LobsterCon in May? Like, what do you think? Like, based on the meta, what do you think is the way to go?
Okay, so like me personally, if I were to suddenly like, if you bought me my plane ticket, you know, and handed me like the invite for LobsterCon because it's, you know, very sold out. If I were to play anything, Elves is definitely like the reason why I'm playing pre-modern.
Okay.
But I was a big Elf player back in the day, and a few years ago I had my Cradles for sale, which never sold. So I was like, oh, I heard about this format, might as well put them to use. However, I'm also someone who plays a large variety of decks. I'm known for that. So if I were to play like if I were to do like right now, I'd probably go with Naughty Hermit. Which is definitely like a deck which I do enjoy, you know, from time to time. It's something about seeing the fear in your opponent's eyes when you drop a turn 1 Hermit Druid is very, very appealing right there. And
how does that, for people who don't know, how does that deck work?
Yep. So yeah, it's basically your Oops All spells or Dredge of pre-modern. Hermit Druid can mill your entire library if you don't have any basic lands in it. And so once your entire graveyard is, you know, your library is in your graveyard right there, you want to reanimate a Shooter Ghoul, and you exile, you know, some Afflicted Dreadnoughts, for example, to get your guy over 20 power. And when Shooter Ghoul will come into play, it will trigger your Dragon's Breath from your graveyard. Comes in to play Enchanting Shooter Ghoul, giving it haste, and you can knock your opponent for lethal as early as turn 2.
Wow.
And you can do this with both Unmasked and Cabal Therapy backup. So,
oh man,
yeah, it can be pretty powerful right there. And what a great thing for something like LobsterCon, games are very quick, win or lose. So you definitely get a lot of time, you know, to talk with people between rounds. My friend Flint Espel won the first pre-modern championship at LobsterCon back in 2022 with the deck. He's known for playing Angry Hermit, but I often tell this to people, like, no one would know that I like pitched the idea to Flint of combining the Stifle Knot and the Angry Hermit combos together, unless I actually had the screenshot of our messages right there. So
gotta have the proof.
Yeah, we worked on the deck a little bit together and kind of like refining this. December 2020, we ran it through the online monthly with it as your classic Angry Hermit main deck, which could sideboard into Stifle Knot, and then later on, like the deck kind of evolved to include both of them, like in the main deck, as you know, it kind of developed. So, and that's what ended up winning with LobsterCon, you know, about a year and a half after we first debuted it.
Brutal. Just the idea of that deck is anathema to anything that I want to see on the other side of the board for me, because it doesn't matter. Like, it's like, yeah, I'll drop a couple of Lotus Petals and not care about you casting Stasis on turn 2. You know,
not at all.
What do you think the deck to beat this year at LobsterCon? Like last year, the deck to beat was for sure Stifle Knot, but I feel like people people are going to be ready for Stifle Not. But I might be wrong. Maybe
I don't think going into the tournament it was the deck to beat. I think the deck considered the one to beat going in was going to be replenished.
Yeah, I agree.
This last year, and then Stifle Not is definitely a lot more. It's definitely got the target on it right now. Now the metagame has kind of shifted, since then. Again, it's because Stifle Not did win the event and has continued to do well at events. It's gone up in stock. Green Red Oath has gone down in stock. Replenish is about the same.
Yeah. Here's I have a couple of prediction questions for you. We'll see how close you get after LobsterCon. We'll have you back on. Most played sideboard card in the top 8.
All right, in the top 8.
Pyroblast. Okay. I'm gonna say Overload.
Okay.
I'll probably be very wrong there, but I like Overload as a choice to stop Stifle Not. I think red has been undervalued for a while, so I think both of our answers at least reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
How many copies of Stifle in the top 8?
Stifle specifically.
Stifle.
I'm going to go with 5.
5. Okay.
5. 4 in a Stifle Not build, and then 1 in a blue white flippy build.
Okay. I was going to say there's got to, because it's a card that has a little bit of crossover, right?
Yeah. Color. Blue white flippy, for those people who don't know, it's a blue white kind of mid range deck, and it runs a lot of these kind of like 1 and 2 of, which can just achieve like these total blowouts.
Yeah.
When they land.
And it also gets played as like a 1 of in Blue Tide occasionally too, because they're playing. They'll play Chain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But might add one Stifle, just like a, get you.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely shows up here and there.
I just had a question and I totally forgot what it was. Color least represented in the top 8. Now remember, there's going to be something that might shake up black as the worst color in the format. So keeping that in mind.
I know, and I'm thinking that it might happen before LobsterCon. If I were a betting man,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go with white.
White. Okay. All right. So those are the three questions I had off the top of my head. Do you want to ask me any questions? If I can get me right.
What do you bring in this year? I could ask that, but
I'm almost positive I'm going to bring Stasis, but I may play Blue Tide. I might try and borrow Dreadnoughts for Stifle Not. I've got a couple of decks that I've been messing around with that are kind of fun, but I did fun last year, so I want to do competitive this year.
Mm-hmm.
One of the decks that I really like, but I just know is not like in my wheelhouse of style of play, is the Big Red Phoenix deck. Just like that looks like so much fun. And Thawing Glaciers is a card, and but it just doesn't feel like a deck that like does well against a lot of the meta that like can just 1-2 you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, here's another question, because when you were at LobsterCon last year, I saw you dressed up very snazzy.
Oh yeah.
And so what are you wearing? Do you have your outfit?
It will probably be the exact same outfit. I actually need to get that tailored a little bit, because one of the pants pockets is starting to rip, and
okay.
If I keep going to events without getting that fixed, I'm gonna be wandering around with my ass hanging out. So I really need to get that taken care of.
Right on. Right on.
Eventually, I'm going to try and get a different suit, but man, that suit is like, people just see me at like Magic Cons and stuff, and then like it just makes it very easy to find me, which is like that used to be my thing at big conventions. I used to wear the blue biker cap, or a yellow biker cap, and then anybody that was a friend of mine could be like, "Oh, there he is. He's over there," So the Pac-Man suit was just like, here you go. And it helps people over time, people see me at these events and they're like, yeah, that's that guy. Like, it makes it nice and easy to find me.
I thought of another question here for you. So for anyone who is attending LobsterCon for the first time, what kind of advice would you give them?
What kind of advice would I give them? Well,
yeah, if it's the first time.
First time, certainly I would say that there is a really great bagel place right down the block from the library. That place was awesome as far as a breakfast spot was concerned. And I think I actually got lunch there too, because it was nice, like lot of space, big counter service type of deal. Lot of spots to sit down. So that place was great. And it's like it's literal, like you could throw a rock and hit it from the convention center. I think it's like 1 block away. That's probably my best advice as far as food is concerned. The other thing I would say is definitely order a lobster roll. Like if you haven't, just do that. It'd be crazy to not. So there's the New England style. I think there's Massachusetts style and Connecticut style. Mm-hmm. I'm a Connecticut style guy myself. I'm not a big mayonnaise person, but the mayonnaise wasn't so much that it made the lobster roll uneatable. It was like a perfect amount of mayonnaise. Little known fact about me, in my wedding vows, both my wife and I, independently to our the guy who married us, when he was interviewing us, said that like we hate mayonnaise and it's like one thing that sort of unites us. So that's in our wedding vows.
Right on.
So if you're the type of person that doesn't like mayonnaise, still it's fine. Order a lobster roll. Bring a water bottle. I think that was the main thing for me. Is that it was really, to me, I just needed something to drink a little bit more often. Definitely get a cocktail from the bar. They have an open bar, not open bar, but there was a bar open there.
Yeah.
Which was great. Mario made me a really wonderful old fashioned. If you're starting to lose, I know that this is probably something that you didn't have to deal with. I was on the top floor the entire time of this place. So if you're starting to lose, you end up on the top floor. There are a lot of tables outside of that room because that room gets very crowded. And so if you ask a judge, do you mind if I go to one of the spots outside with my opponent? They'll give you a little time extension and you can play it in a space that's not as cramped. Because I'm not a big guy per se. I'm not a wide guy, but I am a very tall guy. And being stuck in an area where I'm elbowing my next door neighbor and stuff was rough. And I a couple times got sat like in the corner next to a window, and I was like, oh. So I think those are my best possible things that I could say is like know where to get food, bring yourself some water, and if you can make some space for yourself at a different table, like almost everyone's gonna say, yeah, I'd like a little bit more space. Let's go sit somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. All good stuff.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have any advice that you could think of off the top of your head for LobsterCon?
Yeah, I would say like just repeat everything that you did right there. I brought some like in addition, I had my water and everything, and but I also brought some like protein bars with me just to kind of like get through on the day because you might need a little snack every now and then, and otherwise just get enough sleep before I know some of the guys really like to party really hard, but don't end your day like the night before. Basically. There's a lot of fun to have over the full weekend. And if you're kind of just nervous about like what deck that you're going to choose or anything like that, and all this stuff kind of wearing you down, you need to find something to kind of like distract you a little bit and just kind of like reset, remind yourself it's all just for fun.
This is a blast.
There's nothing on the line. If you're too concerned about like what deck you're going to choose, think about what play method you're going to choose. Think about like what you're going to...
Think about your deck photo. Like, let's be honest. Think about your deck photo. I'll post up the deck photo I took today for Stasis. I know you saw it already. But, the creative deck photo is really one of the best things about this community.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I've been having a lot of fun with Instagram, this past, I think, like a year and a half, maybe now. I've been doing it, but it's just been a lot of fun it scratches that magic itch like in a different way, and that's it's just kind of those things that help keep you really active like in the community, and there's a lot of benefits to like having a community like this besides just having a place to play Magic. There's a lot of personal and social benefits to all this. And these things help you to keep from burning out. It helps. When if you're a little bit unhappy with the meta or anything like that, hey, you're still having fun. You know how to enjoy yourself with these other types of things. Which you remind yourself, hey, like this is why it's my favorite hobby. This is why I've invested so much into it, is because I get all this enjoyment out of it. And so even if maybe there's a part of it, the format or whatever that's kind of stressing you out a little bit, maybe you're even happy with, it's like, hey, you can step back and remind yourself, hey, this is fun. This is my valuable recreational time that I have, and just do that. And I mean, I wrote kind of like a love letter to pre-modern after my LobsterCon. I had my tournament report, and just kind of trying to remind people of like, hey, this is why we're playing the game. It's just for fun. We're all most of us are these boomers, type of age. I've got 2 small kids, and this is a way that I'm able to connect with other people in very similar place in life, and I can kind of connect with, have that social time, and do it without having to take significant time away from my family, anything like that. You don't have to keep up with the rotation of modern formats. You're
not like chasing the Pro Tour dream. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not something that I have to, if I need to step away for, a little bit, it's not a big deal. It's right here back for me. So that's why I keep playing it.
Two more pieces of advice I just thought of. One, a resolution I made for myself this year was to take more photos. I didn't take enough photos at the last one. I went to my high school reunion last May, and I was the only person who brought a camera. So I'm just going to be and I also wore the Pac-Man suit, of course.
Always.
Yeah. So every photo that is posted in my high school's Facebook group for our graduating year is a photo with me in the front and a bunch of people in the back. There's 30 photos of just my head and then a bunch of people behind us. That's something that I definitely want to make a thing that I remember to do every event I go to. But I need to take more photos and tag people and make sure that people are, because it's one of those things where you just don't recognize people if you're not part of that community. So getting photos of people and be like, oh yeah, that's that guy. Oh, I met him. There's so many people that I met at LobsterCon that I only know because it's oh yeah, that guy. The face. And so one of the things I think that will help me get better at knowing people's names is taking a photo and being please tag yourself so I can find out who you are, writing people's names down. We did that at Eternal Weekend. We I wrote down every person's name that I met that came up to us and talked about the podcast or whatever. And it was just cool to be wow, that is a giant list of people, crazy. But I think that's the best advice I can give anybody is try and remember the people you talk to, but also take photos. Because this is it's a big community building thing for me. It's having this as a resource. Making friends with people through the internet is one thing, but having people that you actually know and stuff. I lost my job 2 years ago. One of the guys from the Magic community helped me get another job. So that sort of stuff is at the end of the day life changing. Pretty important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree, and can agree more with the photo thing. I didn't take a lot of photos when I was there. I was, I was otherwise, very engaged.
Yeah, when you're trying to win.
And not just that. I mean, the 6-2 is just kind of a happy, little accident right there. But I was just talking to people and trying to meet everyone and say hi to, everyone that I know. Because, like I said, I'm coming up on 60 straight webcam leagues.
Yeah. I would say 60. Yeah. 5 years, 1-on-1.
It's so many people that I met, and I wanted to be able to meet everyone, and especially my good friends who I've been able to make over time. So I want to make sure I had plenty of time with it. And it's just one of those things that kind of slipped my mind right there. I was jet lagged, and just so much energy is one of those things forgot. So those people who did take pictures, of me with everyone else. Thank you so much. For posting those. So I got those as part of my memories, and I made sure to save everyone that I could, which I came across that shared. So I still got those memories.
Awesome. Well, I think that is a good place for us to be. Is like we've explained why people love formats like pre-modern. We've talked a little bit about LobsterCon, one of the premier tentpole events for the format, and most importantly, finally got to have you on the show. Like I said, it was a long time coming, Michael.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Well, with that said, everybody, thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button. It grows the legacy content ecosystem we all love by relaying to the platform that you are part of our passionate community.
And to go even further, click the links for subscription or to support directly via Patreon to help us create more content for you. Patreon supporters get 4 exclusive extra episodes per month. If you're listening on an audio platform, head over to patreon.com/EternalDurdles.
Thanks so much for your support.
We'll see you in the next one.